Acting techniques we can all use. We have the outside in or the inside out. On the outside, the mind and body are a two-way street. Change your body and you can affect your emotions. Change your emotions and your body will react. The technical approach. Working inside out. Finding the emotions to affect the body. So I guess a good example of that would be finding your emotions. If you want to be sad and then you start breathing heavily and you're becoming sad, that breathing heavily and going into that state will affect your body. And then we have emotional memory or sense memory is the idea to think back to a certain incident and remember it well enough to relive the accompanying emotions. Drew Barrymore's dad was a famous actor, and it was rumored that he, at his mom's funeral, was taking notes because he was like, I need to know how the death of my mother and a funeral that's hard on me is going to feel. So when you want to act, you can always tap into if you lost a husband and your character lost a husband, you can just tap right into that and be like, this hurts. An actor can use empathy, which is the ability to understand and identify with another situation, feelings, and it motivates so completely that you feel you're experiencing that situation and those emotions. The magic if is a technique to stimulate the imagination towards empathy. The technique is based on one question. What would I do if I were this character in these circumstances? Which is also, I think that's something Stanislavski came up with. They can use substitution. When actors have little or no emotional bond with a character, they can replace the character's emotion with unrelated but personal emotions of their own. On top of the different acting techniques an actor needs to use to understand and flesh out their character's emotional base a little bit better, they need to also understand the characters at a base level. And some of the things that can help them, one thing is the given circumstances, which are the who, what, where, when, why questions of a play. The given circumstances are things that the playwright writes in the script and you have to pick up on. Here are some examples. And these are about the characters. So the character's particular situation, their specific problem, what are their limitations, and what are their hopes. All of these things are outlined in the script. You can read them. Some of them are plain as day. They say oh, I wanted to be a baseball player. Or some of them are things that you pick up on and then you use. And then you have the super objective, which is what is the character's main driving force? What does he or she want? And what is the most important thing to this character? So all characters have objectives, which are changed scene by scene, but a super objective is something that exists for the whole play. So Romeo and Juliet, great example. I use it a lot. The super objective is that they want to be together. That's the biggest thing. But in between the scenes, it could be oh, they want to get married right here. Oh, he needs to do this. Those are smaller objectives, but they want to be together no matter what. To understand the character, actors need to think about the inner conflict, which can be a ghost from the past or some unfinished business that is so compelling that it handicaps the character until it is confronted. The character flaw. The inner conflict is powerful enough to affect the character's good judgment and causes the character to make unfortunate choices. It is the character flaw or fatal tragic flaw. And motivation. The reason a character takes a particular action. Auditions. So this is something actors have to do in order to get a part. We all know what auditions are. Here's some stuff about them. So these are vocab terms for you. Open call, cattle call, which is an informal type of audition. An audition in which a large number, often inexperienced actors or performers try out. Cold readings is a reading aloud from a script or other text with little or no rehearsal, practice, or study in advance. Improvisation is a form of theater, often comedy, in which most or all of what is performed is unplanned or unscripted, created spontaneously by the performers. You have the callback list. It is basically a second round of auditions. You go in for your initial audition, and if the casting director likes you or wants to see more of you, they'll invite you back to a callback. And you usually find out by the end of the day after you audition if you're called back. Steps from rehearsal to performance. The first thing you do is table work. Some directors start rehearsal by having the cast read aloud through the play while seated around a table. After the reading, the director and actors discuss their thoughts about the characters and motivations and about the play in general. This is usually, most directors do this. It's about 2 days at least. I've had directors do it for a straight week, which seems insane. But you go around and you talk about the script, and like that's the one time you get to really, really talk, because when you're on your feet doing stuff, you don't have as much time to be like, what is my point of doing this? So this is a time to kind of like get all those extra notes. You discover new things, yes, always, but like this is their first initial pass through the script. You have blocking rehearsals. This is a series of rehearsals during which the director and actors work out the basic movements, a process that is called blocking. Yeah, blocking is how you walk on stage. General working rehearsals. During these rehearsals, the director and actor work on individual scenes and concentrate on understanding the character's motivations, emotions, and personalities. So after you block the play, maybe you go back and you'll be like, this scene is terrible, or not terrible, or this scene needs more work. And so then you set out a block of time for that scene to help flesh it out and make it better. You have special rehearsals. If a play has a fight scene, musical number, or dance numbers, or if the characters have dialects, the director can call for a special rehearsal for each. So yeah, sometimes you'll have your voice coach come in, and you'll just have a day in the beginning where people work on their dialects. Or if somebody's not getting their dialects, you come in and you like have them work with that person again. Or, for instance, you can have like an intimacy coach come in. And I did a play last year called The Flick, and there was like a sad hand job on stage, and so like how did that happen, and like how do we make that look okay, and like how do the actors feel safe. So that was like a whole 2.5 hours where we just tried to choreograph it and make everything look real but also feel safe, and like everybody get down the movements. So those are special rehearsals. You have off-book rehearsals. During this rehearsal, the actors must have their lines memorized. It's called off-book because the actors no longer have the script or the book on the stage with them. And this happens about 2.5 weeks in, and they can't have their script for the rest of the time because they need to like get off that script. But they can do something where they say line, and then an assistant stage manager will feed them the line, so then they can kind of like get back into it. And then this is the time when the stage manager or the ASM, we're following along the script and we give them line notes. So we tell them after every rehearsal, we type up a report and we're like, this is what you got wrong. You should work on it. You have run-throughs. During these rehearsals, the actors go through the entire play from beginning to end with as few interruptions as possible. A run-through gives the actors a feel for how the play works as a whole, not a while, as a whole. Tech rehearsals. By this point, rehearsals have moved from the rehearsal hall to the stage. During tech, short for technical, these rehearsals, their lights, sounds, props, and sets are added. Yeah, and I don't know if you knew this, but usually you do not rehearse on the stage. Usually what it is you have a whole bunch of tape on the floor, which is stage manager. We have to be really good at math, I guess. I never thought math would come back to me, but here it is. You tape out the whole dimension of the set on the floor with tape. And so you're in a room with just tape on the floor being like, here's a wall. But then you move into, because you can't work in the theater because people have to build your set unless you work one time. One time in my life, I had a company where they had the set built before and we got to be on the set the entire time. And I was like, what is this magic? So that was really cool, but that doesn't always happen. So you rehearse in like halls and classrooms, dance studios, wherever. Okay. So then you have dress rehearsals. These are the final rehearsals, only a few days before the play opens, when the costumes and makeup are added. And then you have final dress rehearsal. Not to be confused with dress rehearsal, but the final one is the last rehearsal before an audience is invited. Ideally, the play is run as if it were a real performance. And the reason why we need these we need tech because we gotta, involve the tech aspects of the show. But we need the dress rehearsals. Usually there are 4, maybe. One time I had 1 and 1 preview, and I was like, that's cool. Then we opened the show. A preview has people there, but it's invited people. But the reason we need these things is because all these new elements are added, and you need to see if everything can mesh together, and you need to work out last minute what problems you might have. But hopefully by final dress rehearsal, all of the things are figured out, so then you can have a streamlined show. Curtain call, starting with a quote. Actors are responsible to the people we play. I don't label or judge. I just play them as honestly and expressively and creatively as I can, in the hope that people who ordinarily turn their heads in disgust instead think, what I thought I'd feel about that guy, I don't totally feel right now. And that's by Phil Seymour Hoffman. And then here's another quote for you. Acting is simply my way of investigating human nature and having fun at the same time. And that is Meryl Streep.